you to close your eyes for just a moment. Picture an elephant, majestic, powerful, with a towering frame and gentle eyes. Now, I want you to imagine that very elephant, its massive feet bound, standing still in a dusty corner, frail and broken. The image that you see in front of you here today is not just of a creature in captivity. It's a symbol of suffering, and it's a powerful being whose spirit has been broken over and over and over again. The elephant in the room is a phrase I'm sure all of us are familiar with. Well, in this case, the elephant is the room. It refers to the problem that we've all been aware of but been avoiding. And the elephant symbolizes the exploitation and suffering of these creatures in captivity. The chains that bind them and the horrors that they endure is the truth that's right in front of us. But it's also the elephant that all of us are willing to ignore. Facing this truth, however, gives us the power to change it. I was able to witness the reality of these captive elephants earlier when I had visited a temple. And I noticed that their scars were much deeper than just physical. They were emotional and psychological. And this experience made me ask a profound question. How did we let this happen? And more importantly, how can we change it? My name is Anagha, and I'm here today to take you on a journey through the lives of two elephants, Mohan and Suzy. I also plan to acknowledge the efforts of all the people who have been helpful in giving these elephants like them a second chance. And through these stories, I plan to talk about lessons of empathy, hope, and responsibility. Elephants in India have been exploited for centuries, and been forced to serve human interests in different ways, whether it be giving rides to tourists, performing in circuses, or being paraded in religious ceremonies. And through their stories, I plan to highlight the silver lining, the hope that's there for their future. Suzy, the elephant you see on your screen right now, is an elephant who's spent over 60 years in a circus. She performed tricks for large audiences in the day and was chained to the same spot every single night. To spectators who saw her, she appeared majestic and obedient, following every single command. But her life behind the scenes was not as glamorous as it seemed. She was chained for long hours on hard concrete floors, and it took an immense physical toll on her body. It led to deteriorating joints, skin sores, and severe malnutrition. It also led to an emotional toll because of her constant abuse, lack of companionship, and the complete suppression of her natural instincts. By the time this elephant was rescued, she was completely blind and had lost use of her molar teeth. After arriving at the rescue center, however, she was able to start a new chapter. She became the sanctuary's oldest elephant at 65 years old, and immediately formed close relationships with other rescued elephants. They walked together, played together, and had specially crafted meals together. And her caregivers at the rescue center lovingly called her Paro, and crafted special meals for her called Suzy smoothies to help with her lack of molar teeth. Her story is one that highlights the potential for kindness to overcome exploitation and to overcome situations of adversity. Another elephant whose story I'm going to be talking about is Mohan. Mohan's story is one that's even more harrowing than Suzy's, because for over 50 years, he spent over 50 years in chains, used for hard labor, and he was deprived of basic care for his entire life. His days were filled with hauling heavy loads, and his nights were spent in isolation, chained to the same spot. When his rescuers found him, he was emaciated, weak, and covered in wounds. And his eyes, which were once full of intelligence and life, were only full of pain and despair. The fight to free Mohan was one that was met with a lot of challenges from his captors. And it involved lengthy legal battles, but at the end of the day, his rescuers never gave up on him. After his rescue, he didn't know how to be an elephant. He didn't know how to walk freely, how to play, or how to even eat properly. Basic things that he was deprived of when he was in captivity. And the sanctuary soon became a place of healing for him. He began to rediscover those simple joys, such as walking or playing in the water and scratching against the trees. And for the first time in his life, he was a free elephant. His remarkable transformation from a broken being to an elephant, rediscovering his identity and joy, is one that reminds us of the power of resilience. His story also exemplifies the strength of life when it's given the chance to heal. Elephants are beings that are highly emotional and form deep bonds with one another. They grieve their losses, and they remember each and every experience of their life vividly. Captivity, however, is something that robs them of their dignity. It robs them of their freedom and their ability to experience being an elephant. In 2023, I had the opportunity to explore these very themes at Azim Premji University, where I was able to conduct a photographic research project where I curated a set of 30 photographs divided into 3 different phases: Born Free, Colossal Entrapment, and Trumpet of Hope. When I was taking the pictures for Born Free in Kaziranga with wild elephants, I noticed that the elephants were free. They were living their lives and they were happy and at peace. At Colossal Entrapment, I realized the pain that I saw was immense, and I realized that even though people were aware of the fact that they were hurting these elephants, they continued to do so. In Trumpet of Hope, I realized that even though they go through so much, there's still hope for the future. There's still ways that we can help them, and there's still ways that we can make it better for them. This experience also taught me the power of visual storytelling, and it completely transformed my understanding of their experiences. I also conducted workshops for over 2,000 students at this university, and I realized that just conversation isn't enough. Action is equally important, if not more important. And now the question comes, what can you all do to help? What can we do to help? Firstly, be informed. Ethical choices matter, and no matter how small they are. You can start simply by avoiding supporting attractions that exploit elephants, such as rides, circuses, and shows, and instead support attractions that prioritize their well-being. Secondly, you can support impactful organizations such as Wildlife SOS that work tirelessly to give these elephants a new chance at their life. Thirdly, you can advocate for stronger protection. Spread awareness in your community and push for laws that safeguard elephants both in the wild and in captivity. Now, I want to ask you to imagine a world where elephants like Mohan and Suzy roam freely, where their trumpeting signals triumph, not pain. This future is something that is well within our reach, but only if we act now. Mohan's rediscovery of freedom and Suzy's resilience are just 2 examples of the transformative power of care and compassion. Their stories challenge us to consider, are we going to ignore their suffering, or are we going to take the steps to create a better world for them? The choice begins with the decisions we take now. To conclude this, I want to ask you one question. If you were to tell the story of your role in the world, what kind of an ending would you write? Together, let's ensure it's one where we stand as protectors rather than their captors. Thank you.